Before I went to prison, I was a photographer. My mother was a photographer. I grew up, all my uncles were photographers, and that's what I had a background in too. But taking pictures in prison was a whole new experience. When I first got to prison, I went and asked somebody in education if I could write a curriculum, if I could teach like the basics of photography. So I wrote the class. The girls were so excited. I had a lineup of people that signed up, and that was when I was in California. Then I went to Minnesota and I became a compound photographer, which means that the girls can go buy a ticket for $1 on commissary, and then they come down on the weekend and I take their pictures. And because I had some background in it, I made a reflector out of like potato chip bags. We just had the basics of equipment, and I had to go check it out from the officer. And then I set up a little studio and I had girls lined up for hours waiting to get their pictures taken. And sometimes they got a little bit unruly. I went to the officer and I said, can we do black and white pictures? Like, I wanted to make them really nice for the girls, right? And they were excited. A lot of them had never even had a picture like this before. And so I remember one time, literally, they were lined up and they were really going at it. And one of the girls started at me saying, you're giving preference to your friends and you're wasting my time. And I got a little bit frustrated and I said, I don't have to do this. I do this on the weekend. I could not have this job. I could quit. And she goes, go ahead and quit then. I don't care. And so I walked right upstairs to the officer and I said, hey, I'm done. I handed him the camera. He's like, what? I go, no, I'm done. I said, I don't need to put up with that. Oh my goodness. The girls were all, what have you done? What did you do? They came back to me and they said, hey, she's really sorry. She wants to apologize. I said, you know what? I'm going to do me. I'm going to take my weekends and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to pray and I'm going to really focus on myself. I've worked my whole life running and gunning, taking wedding pictures. I'm done. And that was kind of sad for the girls, but for me, it was like a time to start to focus on myself. But I'll tell you this, if you can take pictures in prison, you can take pictures anywhere.